Hello and welcome to the OKNA Meet the Candidates Night. This is just a reminder to our candidates, please keep your video feed off until it is your time to speak. Our live stream is now live and we will start tonight's presentation in less than 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Thank you. We will begin tonight's Meet the Candidate Night in 1 minute and 35 seconds. Hello and welcome to the Overlook Neighborhood Association's Meet the Candidate Night for the City of Portland 2022 elections. Tonight, you will hear from many candidates that are running for City Auditor, Position 2 and Position 3 for Commissioner. Each candidate will have 5 minutes to address everyone who's joining us at home via our live stream. Unlike typical candidate nights you may go to, you might hear questions being prompted or a little debate, but we're keeping things pretty easy. We want to give the time for the candidates to express who they are and exactly what they're running for, and just a moment to share anything they want to share. So there will not be any questions tonight to our candidates. Each candidate will have 5 minutes to speak. As a reminder to our candidates, once your 5 minutes starts, the timer will start rolling on the screen, and then at that point, it is your show. So let's get tonight started. By the way, I'm Bo, the communications chair for OKNA. I forgot to introduce myself. So welcome to everyone at home. Let's get tonight going, as it's going to be a great evening to meet everyone. We're going to start first with our city auditor candidates. Speaking first to you this evening will be Brian. Brian, are you with us?
I'm sorry, I'm here and I'm ready to go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Brian. Okay, here in just a moment, we will start that timer. So once you see it come up, it is your time.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me here tonight, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to the people of Portland. We all know Portland's on the wrong track, and it will take all of us to get us back to where we want it. We must address the homeless crisis, public safety and affordability, to name a few of the critical issues facing Portland. We all have to do our part. I'm not just a certified public accountant, but I'm also a dad. I raised my daughter in Northeast Portland, and would occasionally coach her. Well, I coached a little league team and would occasionally umpire games at Wilshire Park. I once attended an umpire clinic and learned some lessons that I think are applicable to the auditor's office. An umpire isn't supposed to steal the show, and an umpire isn't supposed to favor one side or another. An umpire is supposed to be fair and impartial. The city auditor is elected, it's an important office here, is elected to serve the people and to hold Mayor Wheeler and the city council accountable. The auditor doesn't create the rules or pass budgets. That's the job of the mayor and the city council. The auditor doesn't do the work. That's the job of the city workers and the bureaus. Instead, the auditor is a little bit like a baseball umpire who brings integrity to the game by calling balls and strikes. You want an umpire to be fair, consistent, and competent. To get Portland back on track, we need an independent, competent umpire like myself. I've been an Oregon CPA for over 30 years. The CPA license is the top credential in the profession. Some of the things that drew me to this field are the professional ethics, as well as the depth and breadth of the knowledge required to be a CPA, which includes not just tax and accounting, but management, statistics, finance, and auditing. Speaking of auditing, I have practical audit experience with the Washington State Department of Revenue as an internal auditor for a publicly traded company, and I worked as an auditor for 2 international Big 8 accounting firms. I am a small business owner. I have an MBA in sustainable business. I've served on numerous nonprofit boards over the years. I currently serve on the KBOO Community Radio Board, where I'm on the executive committee, and I'm a founding board member of Livelihood Northwest, an economic development nonprofit that helps entrepreneurs from traditionally underserved communities improve their businesses and succeed. Really proud of Livelihood Northwest, serve over 400 local businesses annually, 78% of whom are led by people of color and 70% by women. I'll bring a much needed independent outside perspective to the auditor's office. So I remain independent from powerful, wealthy interests. I'm using Portland's small donor election program to fund my campaign. Using that program, I'm sworn off taking any PAC money, any business money, and any donations greater than $250. This way, I'm not beholden to any special interests or influences, but to the voices of Portlanders like yourself. I'm also not beholden to the political establishment. I did not seek endorsement from city council members, and I will have to hold them accountable and didn't want to owe any favors. I did not seek the endorsement from previous auditors because I want to bring an independent, fresh perspective and not be compromised by allegiances to business as usual. I know I can do the job. The question is, who do you trust to right the ship and help get us back on track? As an independent executive with the top professional credentials and a wealth of experience both in and out of government, I'm the right person to serve as your next auditor. I look forward to bringing an independent perspective and new ideas to the office and city government. I hope I can count on your support and that you'll elect me to be your next auditor.
Awesome.
I'm good. Thanks so much.
Are you sure?
Well, I would just say my website's brianforportland.com. That's it. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Brian. Oh, yes. We have one more candidate for the city auditor position. Simone, are you with us?
I'm with you.
Hello, Simone. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It is your time to shine. Let's do this.
Okay. Excuse me. Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name's Simone Rede, and I'm running for Portland City Auditor because I believe Portlanders deserve an open and accountable city government that is responsive to community needs and ensures that benefits of economic growth are shared equitably. The Auditor's Office has the power to inform and improve the delivery of city services, and I pledge to use that power to promote independence, public service, and inclusion. I want to share with you a little about myself. My story begins at the Spartan Daily, which is San Jose State University's student newspaper. That's where my mom met my dad. She was an arts and entertainment critic and the only daughter of a Slovenian American family in the city of San Francisco. And he was editor-in-chief and the son of only son of a Mexican American family from the East Bay. After a year of dating, they were married in a bilingual ceremony and relocated to Oregon. They lived and worked in Bend and Salem, where I was born, and eventually Portland, where they raised me and my brothers. On my 7th birthday, I received a priceless gift. It was a multicolored Fisher-Price tape recorder that played real cassette tapes with a microphone attached by a telephone cord. I took it with me everywhere, and I heard from everyone I encountered. I reported the news, I captured my family's thoughts on current events, and I produced more intimate features like my 2-year-old brother singing happy birthday. I was so persistent of others' perspectives that I would even conduct interviews in the bathtub. Asking questions of public interest fueled my pursuit of higher education, where I developed the ability to conduct my own research. My curiosity drove me to Mexico, where I studied the effects of migration on women who stayed behind, and then to Portland, where I identified challenges that young men face in accessing teen parent services. I would later go to Pittsburgh, where I led an investigation of the economic and social impact of community gardening. And I finally landed in Salem, where I started my auditing career at the Oregon Audits Division. Since then, I've applied my outreach and analysis skills to performance audits of Oregon's childcare system, TriMet, the Oregon Zoo, Metro's Affordable Housing Bond Program, and Metro's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Program, to name a few. I'm running for city auditor because Portlanders have questions and they want answers about their government. The auditor's office is uniquely positioned to make city government more accountable and accessible to the public. Portland has had an elected city auditor since 1891, so that it answers to voters rather than city officials. The office provides independent reviews that address the experiences of city residents. It provides access to public records, and it oversees city elections, as well as the lobbyist registration program. The office can't do its job well unless we hear from people about what's not working so that we can develop solutions to those problems. My priorities for the office are to innovate and expand Portland's tradition of performance auditing, to ensure health, safety, and equity as the city of Portland provides services for our houseless residents, and to advance equity across the auditor's office's divisions. I'm stepping up to this role with 2 professional audit certifications and broad community support. I've earned the respect of auditors across the Pacific Northwest, as well as managers and users of public programs. I'm the only candidate for city auditor that filed by nominating petition, and I was the first in this race to qualify for participation in the small donor elections program. I believe that all people should have a say in decisions that affect them, and I know the power that performance auditing has to inform government action. For these reasons, I'm ready to be Portland's next city auditor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are going right along here. We will now move into a new portion of the evening, which is our Commissioner Position 2. So hopefully we have everyone from Commissioner Position 2 that's online. Just as we did during the City Auditor portion, each candidate will have 5 minutes to address everyone on our live stream tonight. Okay, to get this started, our first candidate who will be up will be Mr. Dan Ryan. Dan, are you with us?
I am.
Hi, Dan. Welcome.
Thank you, Bo, and thank you, Overlook Neighborhood Association, for providing venue for all of us. Did you want me to start?
Oh no, Are you ready though? It seems like you are. Okay.
Sorry, I thought you wanted me to go.
No, I will turn it over to you now. Go ahead.
All right. Well, thanks again, Bo, and the Overlook Neighborhood Association for providing a venue this evening for all of us. My name is Dan Ryan. I'm a proud resident of Overlook since 2000. Actually, Arbor Lodge. Why did I say Overlook? Arbor Lodge since 2000, and I was elected to the Portland City Council less than a year and a half ago. I am just getting started, and I'm looking forward to serving my hometown for a full term. I said yes to being a leader for our city at a time when the majority are frustrated. I know, I was one of them, and it started over a decade ago. I would think, why are local government leaders tolerating the intolerable? And since my arrival, I've been focused on results for homelessness, community safety, economic recovery, and with a committed lens to racial equity and climate justice. I embraced my lived experience of losing my brother on the streets with a dual diagnosis of mental health and behavioral health. And I've had the courage to disrupt the houseless industry's Housing First playbook to a much needed reset towards a service first playbook, which includes on-ramps for those who are chronically homeless to receive services and assessments that leads them to successful housing, to work, and to life. I stopped the defunding slogan from the police and from becoming a failed solution, and I pivoted us to building community safety system with concrete steps towards restorative justice. I've called out and tackled the notorious flawed permitting system. It's a failed system that really works for no one and has become a major roadblock for building affordable housing and economic recovery in general in our city. Today, we are moving to an efficient, streamlined system, and I'm very proud to lead that effort with Commissioner Maps. I worked with the Office of Tribal Relations and denied industry's further development of fossil fuels in our city. After living with HIV since the early 80s, I received the official AIDS diagnosis in 1995. I came home to be near my sister since I knew she would tolerate me. Fortunately, new medicine emerged, and that same doctor who told me to make plans told me to get back to work. So here I am 27 years later and counting, and I'm continuing to be of service to my hometown. Like me, I know Portland will come back and have another chance. I really think we are both long-term survivors, and I know Portland's best days lie ahead. I'd like to just spend a little bit of time talking about where we're going. I feel like a surgeon at times, and the patient definitely needs emergency surgery. And I'm really diving in, not afraid to take risks and make sure that we do the proper surgery at this time. And it's complicated and it's messy. And at the same time, you have basically the entire family of the city yelling at you like you clogged the arteries. And really, this is something that's been clogging for about the last 20 years. And so it's time for us to be pragmatic. It's time for us to build collaborative bridges with one another and definitely cross jurisdictions and cross bureaus. And I've proven to be that person in my short time in office. I think it's not only about passing policy, but it's about practice, because that eats policy for lunch any day. That's why I've been really focused on implementation. I have a vast experience as an executive in arts, education, healthcare, and now in housing and homelessness and community safety. It's all connected. We have to look at some of the things from the past that we did that we probably should have taken some more time to assess. And we're at that point. We're at a tipping point in general. The compassion fatigue is real. And I do think Portlanders are ready for true compassion, not continuing to enable the problem. So we have to look at things that we've done in the past that don't make sense, and it's time to rebuild them. Why did we close sobering stations? Well, we closed them because they were unsafe. So it's time to rebuild them with a safety lens and really be mindful of the fact that we have very difficult, complicated, dangerous drugs on our streets that are causing aggressive and psychotic behavior. We passed an ordinance that said camping was legal in the public right-of-way. And now it's time to offer services for those who are on our streets and bring those services to them. And then we can reopen our public right-of-way and our sidewalks and our parks to those of us who live in this city and deserve to also have access to them. My name is Dan Ryan. I'm really excited to be your city council member. You can learn more about me at Dan Ryan for Portland. And I thank you once again, my community of Arbor Lodge, for providing this venue. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Okay. Yes. Again, welcome to everyone who's joining us at home. We are so excited to be able to live stream this event. I am Bo, your host tonight for the Overlook Neighborhood Association Meet the Candidate Night. Coming up next for our Commissioner Position 2 position, we have Sandeep. Are you with us this evening?
Yes, I am.
There you are. Welcome. Okay, are you ready to take the show away?
I am totally ready.
All right, it is your turn. Take it away.
Thank you, Bo. Hi there. My name is Sandeep Bali, and I am running for Portland City Commissioner. I decided to run. Well, I guess first I'm going to give you an introduction about myself. I decided to give me a second. I decided to run for Portland City Commissioner because I am passionate about Portland. I decided that I was going to make a change in Portland and turn it around. And I am passionate about that. I have platforms and goals for Portland, unlike the other candidates. And I do want to take the next 4 minutes to talk about those platforms. Number one for me, I feel like with urban camping, we need to put an end to urban camping. Unfortunately, what we've allowed to happen in Portland is that we have invited people to come to Portland and we have enabled bad behavior. So what I'm seeing in Portland is that we're seeing a problem with addiction, we're seeing a problem with mental illness, and it's going untreated. I don't think it's fair to allow people to live on the streets in tents amongst their own waste, amongst their own rubbish and garbage, and think that that's compassionate care. It's really not. As a pharmacist, my background is in pharmacy. I know that that's not compassionate care, and I know that's not right for anybody, and we need to change that. I do understand that we have nonprofits here in town, and we do have missions and organizations that can help people get off the streets, get into shelters, get beds, if they want that help. And that's kind of where the barrier lies. It's like, if you want help, you can get it. If you don't, it's difficult to get it. My second thing is public safety. I feel like Portland doesn't have public safety right now. Unfortunately, when all the commissioner members got together and decided to defund the police, that was a problem. They defunded the police by $23 million, and that led to an increase in violence in town. Also, getting rid of the gun violence. The gun violence reduction team led to more violence and more gun violence in Portland. So I would like to come in and look at that and kind of change direction. I think defunding the police was a problem. I would like to refund the police. I would like to bring back a strong, diverse police force into Portland so that there is accountability. And I would like to restore public safety in all communities. I think every single community in Portland is seeing this right now, that there just is not public safety. Every day we're reading the news and we're seeing there's a homicide, and we've reached historical homicide rates. So that's one thing that I want to address. The last thing is with the Safe Rest Villages, I do feel like they're a Band-Aid for ending the homeless crisis. I think we really need to look at what's happening and what's going on and go from there. Safe Rest Villages are low barrier, and telling all Portland residents that we're going to include Safe Rest Villages into every single community, to me, it doesn't make sense. I've seen and gone out to see how these Safe Rest Villages look like, and they're not compassionate, they're not nice, and they don't do what they're supposed to do, which is address treatment. So I think if you're going to have shelters, that's wonderful, I'm behind that, but shelters must address treatment. And with the Safe Rest Villages, we've had nonprofits that were going to manage those kind of pull back and say they're not safe, they're not restful, they're not helping anybody down to another path of hope. The last thing for me is, like, there's a lot of garbage in Portland. That's one thing I think that no candidate is talking about right now, and that needs to be cleaned up. We need to go out there. We need to have people out there to clean up all of the trash and beautify Portland and bring it back to what it was again. Why vote for me? I have a strong leadership background. I have a past in pharmacy. I understand addiction. I understand economics. I'm all for much more affordable housing. I think the policies that the current administration, the current counselors have come out with have led to less housing, which is also part of the reason why we're seeing what we're seeing. So that's what it all comes down to for me. If you want to learn more about me and my platforms, please visit betterwithbali.com. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. Yes, as a reminder to those viewers joining us via live stream tonight, we have a very simple format where we're providing 5 minutes to each individual to speak and address the public. We are currently on Commissioner Position 2. Coming up now, we have AJ. AJ, are you with us this evening?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hi, welcome, AJ. Sometimes, Zoom, you figured after this pandemic, I would be able to push the right buttons. But all right, the floor is yours. Here you go.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be at this neighborhood association meeting. Overlook is one of the neighborhoods that I grew up in, and I definitely have fond memories of that space. I live over in Kearns now. My name is Alanna Joy McCreary. I go by AJ. I am running for Portland City Council position number 2 because I believe in this city. I know that we need change now. We have had very stagnant leadership in Portland City Hall for a while, and we really need the values of our city, the values of our residents to be represented in Portland City Hall. It's time. Right now, Portland is in crisis. We've got public safety issues, we've got housing issues. We are trying to grow out of this pandemic, which has been hard hitting for everybody of all walks of lives. And we need leadership that is committed to change and has a robust plan to how we're going to get there. I'm a single mom. I'm a light-skinned Black woman. I am the executive director, one of the co-founders of Equitable Giving Circle, and one of the co-founders and on the leadership team of Mom Block. I understand community care. I understand how to move large projects in real time, and I know how to build bridges with community members, other community-based organizations, other stakeholders, and I know how to prioritize community because I'm grounded in community. And you can see that through my work in real time. Over the last 2 years, it's been 2 years, this pandemic, I have helped spearhead and raise over $4 million to invest in community through the work at Equitable Giving Circle. And in that work, I really haven't seen Portland City commissioners out here doing the work. We've had a housing crisis, and our city commissioner who is over housing has not been in housing, not been in community doing the work with us. I helped put $200,000 into the community in 3-month rent and mortgage relief grants. And I learned a lot about the needs of our city and the needs of actual people in real time. And in all of that, people are asking, where is our city leadership? What are they doing for us? It's time that we have people in that space who are representing the community. And I want to be that one of those people that's helped leading the charge in getting us out of this crisis that we're in right now and into a place of healing and into a space where everybody is thriving. Because right now, very few people in Portland are thriving, and it shows when you walk outside. When we're talking about Portland, we are also talking about public safety. Again, as a mother of a Black child, I'm very, very pressed about safety. And I very much understand that safety, public safety, is rooted in well-resourced communities. We really need to change what we are prioritizing and how we're prioritizing it. And I can tell you through my work doing large-scale community care, I know how to prioritize community, and I know how to work through really big projects, really hard things. I'm excited to take the energy that I've had in community in real time and bring that energy to Portland City Hall. We need new change. We need a younger energy, a fresher energy that is representing Portland. You know, Portland's average resident is 37 years old. We don't have leadership that is that age. That's the problem. Our values in this city are not represented, and it's time to change that. I would love to encourage all of y'all to check out my work, both at Equitable Giving Circle, my work at Mom Block. Check out my website and learn about my housing policies, learn about my public safety policies, learn about my economic plans, learn about how I'm already bridging gaps in community, and get on this new track for Portland to bloom into a place that we can all thrive, that we can all enjoy. I really believe that we can have a city that prioritizes the livability for folks as young as 5 or a brand new baby, as well as folks that are 85 or 100 years old. I believe that we can really make important changes in real time, but I know to do that, we need a new energy, and I'm that energy. So please check out my website, ajforportland.com. Check me out on Instagram, check me out on Facebook, check me out on Twitter. And I'm excited to be your next Portland City Commissioner for seat number 2, because I am a vote for community. I am your vote. I am representation that will help make a difference.
Yes, thank you very much, AJ. This is a reminder to all of our candidates that are joining us this evening. If your display name on Zoom does not reflect the information that we have, please be sure you update your display name so we know who to unmute at the appropriate time. We have our next speaker this evening for Commissioner Position 2. This is Renee. Renee, are you with us?
Yes.
Hello, Renee. Okay,
Start video.
go ahead and take it away.
Start the video. Yep. Hi, Bo. Oh, there. I'm Renee Stevens. I am a Portland City resident. I live in Southwest Portland with my wife. This is my wife, Karellen Stevens. And I'm running for Commissioner seat number 2. And one of the reasons why I have decided to join the race is because I am seeing a failure in leadership. As a matter of fact, there is no leadership, and that's why in order to be a leader, I believe that a leader is somebody who takes on responsibility for something more than themselves. And this is not what I'm seeing for the people on the city council right now. I see that lots of people are, they're just worried about, staying in there, staying in power, getting money. And that is not, that's not okay. That's not going to lead us out of the ditch or the rut that we're in currently. We have the things that people are concerned about, like public safety, like homelessness. These are things that are happening because we as a community, we as a society, and we as, I'd like to say, as a race of beings, have actually taken our eye off the ball. We have, and we've been doing this for a very long time. Unfortunately, it's starting to degrade our morality, and it's showing in our society. So we have been practicing caring for something other than life, which right now it's currently money, but it really can be anything. What we need to do is step back and start a conversation about what it would mean to focus on caring for life, not money, not gold, not cryptocurrency, but, and we have really made our society very complicated because it's not just about taking care of people. It's not just about taking care of life. And so a lot of the problems that we're facing are directly, they spawn from this idea that life is not what is valuable. And so I'm here to make sure that we start this conversation, because trust me, folks, if we were just about taking care of life, there would be no homeless people, okay? If it were just about taking care of life, there wouldn't be as much violence as you see in the streets or drug use. We are teaching people to not only care not for themselves, but not for other people as well. And we're practicing caring for other things other than life. And really, when you look at your fellow citizen, you should see the value. You should see what is valuable. Unfortunately, that's not what we have been doing. We've been practicing valuing other things. And like I said, unfortunately, I know everybody's focus is on money, but it's not realistic for us to continue running society the way we've been running it, because it's leading to our detriment. So now we have to step back. We have to get our eye on the ball, and we need to do the right thing. And starting the conversation about caring for life is why I am running for city commissioner. I've also seen a lot of corruption in our system. I'd like to weed that out. And so that's why I'm here. And hopefully you'll put in a vote for me. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Renee. Next up and our last candidate that we will have speaking tonight for Commissioner Position 2 is Stephen. Stephen, are you with us?
Okay, can you hear me?
Hi, welcome there. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Solving the homeless issue is my #1 priority. The current plan of safe rest villages, at the rate they're being built, it's going to take over 6 years to complete. And they're only going to get 360 people off the street. And in 6 years, that's about the time that the federal funding runs out to help us. In 2019, point in time count, and we're going to go off 2019 because that's the most recent point in time count we actually have numbers for. The most recent point in time count, we won't have those numbers until summer of this year. So the 2019 point in time count had roughly 4,000 homeless people. There's more than that, but that's what the point in time had, was 4,000 homeless. The city of Portland committed, actually the taxpayers of Portland committed $16 million to building these 6 safe rest villages. Now keep in mind, they only hold 60 people. So to get all the homeless off the street, and that's about 4,000 people, the taxpayers would have to fund 67 of those villages. And it would be a total cost of about $178 million. Not to mention the fact, the amount of time that we would be leaving the homeless sleeping on the street. That's not compassion at all. My plan calls for 27 shelters that could be rapidly deployed. The shelters are being used elsewhere. The government uses them. Other cities use them. Other countries use them. They exist. They cost less than $1 million to put together and get going. Less than $1 million, but because we're talking the government, I went ahead and rounded it up to $1 million. With these shelters, we need to invest in our mental health care system as well as our substance abuse rehabilitation as well. It's extremely important that we do that. They go hand in hand with the shelters. Once we reach the point where we don't need these shelters, they can be easily repurposed. You can use them for things like community centers. I mean, imagine 27 community centers throughout Portland. I mean, wouldn't that be awesome? You can use them for neighborhood events, after-school programs, numerous different things. I'm not quite sure how you would repurpose the safe rest villages. I haven't figured that one out yet. There's a couple other subjects I want to touch on before I run out of time. So bear with me here. As far as the police excessive use of force, as we know, the homeless tend to get the brunt end of that. Tends to be a big issue with the homeless. So the police use of excessive force against the homeless can come to an end if we get the homeless off the streets. By doing so, it's safe for everyone. It's safe for the homeless, safe for the police. It's safe for the taxpayers and the people that go out onto the streets and sidewalks. And it's the compassionate thing to do. Housing first. Housing first does not work. There are people that believe it's the way to go. If you don't believe me that it doesn't work, look at San Francisco. They tried it. They had homeless from across the country just flock there. They got inundated and overwhelmed with the homeless. So please, when you vote, do not let Portland become the next San Francisco. Next, there are people that will stand up and make the argument about the rights of the homeless. What about the homeless rights? The homeless do have rights. They do. But my question is, what about the rights of the taxpayers? We have the right to walk down the street without walking around jars of urine or piles of human feces. We have the right to not have our property stolen, to go to bed at night and not worry about our cars not being there in the morning. Our kids, what about our kids' right to go to a park and play without the fear of getting stuck by a drug needle? And that's already happened. So in order to prevent that from happening again, we do need to get the homeless off the street and into our shelters. I'm asking for your vote so we can reclaim Portland, so we can stop the homeless from running the city, and that's what's happening. I want Portland to be known as the Rose City again. That's why I'm running, is to reclaim Portland and allow the taxpayers to have their rights back and to stop having the homeless run this city. So I'm asking for your vote. It's important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Yes, welcome everyone that is joining us connected from home. We are going into our final portion for the evening. This will be for Commissioner Position 3. Our first candidate for Commissioner Position 3 will be Joseph. Joseph, are you with us this evening?
There we go. I'm here. How we doing?
Hello, Joseph. Okay, your time is going to start now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to speak with the Overlook Neighborhood Association. I appreciate, again, I'm very grateful for that. My name's Joseph Whitcomb. I've lived in Portland my entire life. I was born and raised in North Portland. I lived in Northeast Portland for a little while, and I'm back to North Portland. I understand Portland. I've lived here my entire life. I've worked here my entire life. So I have 4 daughters. I have 6 grandchildren, and number 7's on the way. I'm a family man. I've worked hard to get to the position I'm in today. I have a degree in criminal justice, and I would like to utilize that in the city council and protecting our police department. So why am I running for city council? I'm running because our current government has failed. Our city council has failed. We are looking at trash. We're looking, crime is through the roof, vandalism, homeless camps all over the place. You heard about drugs. It's just unrealistic. I would like to see that taken care of. I think it's done through funding our police department and letting them do the job that they're hired to do. Did you know that the police department are hired as peace officers and they're hired as law enforcement officers? So they have 2 jobs. Keep the peace, enforce the law. That should be basic knowledge. So let's get them back out there, let them do their job. I think by doing that, we will see some of the homeless issues disappear if we're allowing them to the police to do their job. Next, I just want to talk about back in 2020 when all this just really broke out and went crazy. I ran a write-in candidate for Portland mayor against Wheeler and Iannarone. Historically, the write-in only gets about 6% of the votes. In 2020, the write-in got 14%. That's an 8% increase. That tells me that Portland is tired. My campaign did really well. It got roughly 37,000 of the 46,500 votes casted. So now I'm here running for city council because I don't see them doing the job that I believe they need to do. So I'm going to come in here. I want to protect our law enforcement officers. I want to clean our streets up. And hey, street planning, some of the things that are going on in city Portland, I don't like. It now takes me an extra half a mile to get home because they blocked off my street. and it's ridiculous. Now then, as we are working towards correcting all these things, there are some great programs out there who are working to help the homeless. They're cleaning them up. They're getting them to work, and then they're getting them into shelters. Let's utilize those programs instead of taxing the citizen and the homeowner and potentially putting them out of their place and on the streets. Let's utilize companies that are out there doing the job. I want to use those guys. Let's make that happen. I think we can. So as we start moving, it's important that we take good steps, solid steps. I want to understand the programs that are in place and the programs that we want to maybe utilize. Just don't jump in and say, hey, this is going to work. Doesn't happen. I've heard a lot of good suggestions, and I think we can do that. I also want you to go to my website, josephwhitcomb.wixsite.com/political-candidate. Go look at some of my ideas. I think you will be impressed. One of the things I want to let you know is I grew up in the system. I grew up on welfare. I understand what it means to live day to day. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, so that way my children wouldn't have the same living environment that I grew up in without. I don't like it. So I get it. I know. I have compassion for the people out there. I go out and I talk to them from time to time to ask, why are they on the street? So if you like anything I had to say tonight, if you like my background, vote for Joseph Whitcomb, and let's do Portland justice. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joseph, very much. Next, for Commissioner Position 2 this evening, we have Kim. Kim, are you available with us?
I'm here.
Hello, Kim.
Hi there.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, your time begins now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Kasch, and I'm running for Commissioner number 3. And I just thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself first. I was born and raised in Portland, and I grew up in a family with 9 kids. I bought the house my parents raised me in. And I also wanted to say that my dad was a union man. He was a hardworking man. And I graduated from Portland State University with a degree in psychology. I have a BS in psychology. And then I worked for 30 years in the legal field. I retired from the legal field and became a writer. I have 5 books published, and my latest one is the middle grade STEM book. And I just wanted to tell you, I have 4 main goals for my candidacy. 1 is safety and sanitation. Number 2 is housing, and not just for the homeless. I also want to have affordable housing for our kids. I have 3 adult children, and housing in Portland has gone astronomically expensive, and I want to make affordable housing. I also want to revitalize Portland, bring people back down to the core. I have some ideas about that. And then number 4 is climate. And I just want to tell you a few of these things and how I plan to achieve my goals. With safety, it's kind of an intermingled holistic approach. That's just because of my degree in psychology. What I want to do is have a component similar to the Portland street response, but a more full vested type of response. I would like to have a therapist and a social worker that are always on staff for the police so that they can call them up when they have a situation that requires some volatile emotions, such as domestic relations or suicide, or most situations for the police are volatile, but I want to have a holistic approach. Then the sanitation, I'd like to have a volunteer bag brigade that just goes around, starts picking up the trash around Portland. We have a lot of trash, so that's the safety and sanitation. The housing, I know about the safe villages. I think those are a great idea, but they only touch a portion of the problem, and we have a lot of challenges. So I am working with some different nonprofits. I've been talking with cultivate initiatives just to have mobile showers, mobile laundry services, and warming and cooling shelters. And I also have been talking with some other nonprofits, such as Oregon Food Bank, trying to set up, like we have the little libraries. I have a little free library out in front of my house. I'd like to have little free food pantries, but I want to work with some nonprofits to do that in the community gardens. When they have overflow food, they could put them in these gardens, but I want them not to spoil. So I want to figure out ways to do that that would be effective. And these community gardens, that also ties in with my climate control goal, where I want to lower our carbon footprint with having all these gardens. And then the food insecurity, not just for the homeless. There are a lot of people struggling after the pandemic. And so I want to help people that are just struggling. And I have some other ideas. One is to bring back Fairless Square. We had Fairless Square in Portland, which, if you guys haven't lived here that long, it ended in 2012. Then you could ride the mass transit from around Lloyd Center downtown, all around downtown, get to your jobs for free. And if you were a disabled person, you could park for free downtown anywhere. I want to bring those programs back. We also had safety teams that rode on mass transit. People are afraid to ride mass transit, so they don't want to go downtown, which just perpetuates the whole problem. And I want to work with a team approach. My endorsement from Megan Cahy, she's an executive director with Cascadia Behavioral Health, and she's on the faculty for OHSU. She endorsed me and said that I've been working with kids my entire life. I was a treatment foster parent for 5 years with the Morrison Center Hand in Hand program. I also have volunteered in Portland throughout my life. I started out as a big sister in high school, and I was a coach for soccer and basketball. And I just have been volunteering my entire life. I still, right now, I'm a volunteer for an international nonprofit, and it's called the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. So I've worked in teams throughout my entire life, and I want the opportunity to try to do that again. And our other leaders have had their opportunity. So remember to vote May 17th and to give me a chance, Kim Kasch, for Commissioner number 3. And I just want to say thank you for having me and listening. Bye.
Thank you very much. Yes, we are moving right along. Next, we have Arlene. Yes, let's see if we can get you here. Arlene, are you with us?
Karellen.
Here, you start the video.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, your time will begin now.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Karellen, and I'm married to Renee. We've got 4 kids. I've lived in Portland my whole life. Went to Thomas Jefferson High School, and I also brought the house that I was raised in. So my mom was a single mom, and so I live here in Southwest Portland. And the reason I joined the race is because my daughter was the victim of a crime in the year 2007, and it has yet to be resolved. So my husband and I have been fighting to fix this issue for the last 15 years, and we have found a very unresponsive government. I've used every single system there is available here in Portland to address this, and what I find is that all of our leaders are completely corrupt. If there's a mess, they're not going to clean it up. And so actually me and my husband speak downtown and in Multnomah Village every week. So every Wednesday in Multnomah Village, we speak about what happened to our family here. And then we also speak in the downtown core. And that happens like Wednesdays and Fridays between 10:30 and 11. And we've been doing that for about 67 weeks downtown and about 40 weeks in Multnomah Village. I am horrified at the condition of Portland. I grew up here. This used to be a beautiful, beautiful city. I remember being a teenager, I could be downtown until midnight, and my mother did not worry. We did not have these kinds of problems. But now that I've dealt intimately with the leadership, I know why we have these kinds of issues. And when we are speaking downtown, I'm having all kinds of people come up to me and talk to me about sex trafficking, crimes. I'm seeing feces in the street, vomit, garbage. It's awful. So I do want to address the homeless issue, and I want to take almost a surgical approach. I'd like to get compassionate cleanup crews out there like immediately. I'd like them, today I'm wearing a shirt that says money is not real, I am, but we have another sweater that says I am the value, or we have a shirt that says I am the value. It's a focusing exercise that me and my husband have been doing for the last 8 years. So it helps you remember that you matter. And I think that people have lost the idea that they matter completely. So I think we need to almost turn this into, people kind of think of this as maybe it's like a kindergarten exercise, but that's where we are. I think we need to start labeling people as what matters. And then I'd like to work with people like Terrence Moses from Neighbors Helping Neighbors. I think he's a great guy. I saw him on the news. He goes around cleaning up the homeless camps. There's PDX Saints. There's all kinds of groups out there like Joseph was talking about that are already doing the work. And I just don't think they're getting enough support or notoriety. But the solutions for getting people off the street are out there. But I also think we need to look at making sure we don't get more people piling into the street. So I'm aware that there's a lot of people that are being evicted right now because COVID funds are not being spent appropriately. And that doesn't surprise me because, again, my daughter was a victim of a crime and I still have yet to be apologized to. Tried to meet with Ted Wheeler, Joanne Hardesty, all the people on the council get completely ignored and ignored by law enforcement, ignored by everybody. So we need to stop ignoring our problems in Portland. And when there's a problem, we just have to look it dead in the eye and address it. And I can't believe my daughter was a victim of a crime when she was 8. She's 23 years old. She has lifetime damage and it's still not been resolved. So I think that I want to get on the council so I can start focusing the council members on doing their job. And that's what me and my husband have been experiencing for a long time here in Portland is these people do not do their job. Our leaders don't do their job. Their job is to administer and organize society, not push money around. So that's another thing I'm in favor of. I really would like to just shelve the pet project until the crisis in our streets is resolved. And I'm very committed to getting that done because I'm out there in the streets and I'm talking to these people. I'm hugging these people. I'm holding their hands. And I am one of those people because I have been failed by this city and I have been failed by law enforcement. I've been failed by the courts. And I know that Portland can do better because there's a lot of great people here in Portland. And so I'm here to get the job done. If I get on the council, we're going to clean this mess up because there's going to be no more footsie and playing games because that's what I see happening with our city council right now. And there's no more time for that. So you can come watch me and my husband speak. Like I said, we speak live downtown Fridays and Wednesdays in Multnomah Village. And that's Justice for Kadira. And thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. As a reminder to our candidates, be sure that when you are done speaking, you do turn off your video feed for us. We will move along with Commissioner position 3. We have joining us next is Vadim. Are you with us this evening?
I am, Bo. Hi.
Hi. Okay. The time is yours. Here we go.
Well, thank you, Bo, and thank you, Overlook Neighborhood Association, for having me here. I am glad to be here speaking with you. My name is Vadim Mozyrsky. I'm running to revitalize Portland based on bold vision, accountability, inclusiveness, and I think right now, very importantly, pragmatic rather than dogmatic solution to the problems facing Portland. A little bit about myself. My family and I were refugees from the Ukraine when it was still in the former Soviet Union. We came to the United States with very little money, with very few possessions. We didn't speak English. My father took odd jobs in order to get by. My mother went back to community college and became a nurse. I myself started school without speaking English. And I went to public schools, a public university, and a public law school. When I graduated as a lawyer and became an administrative law judge, that was the culmination of my parents' American dream for our family. Unfortunately, that American dream is failing too many Portlanders. We have a homeless humanitarian crisis in our streets. You probably know the statistics already. We had the most deaths last year in the history of Portland on our streets. the most overdoses, the most vehicle pedestrian deaths in our homeless community. And we had over 2,000 fires in our homeless community, some of them which actually caught 40 buildings on fire. And I think this is a concern in the Overlook neighborhood as well. We need to make sure we have fire marshals out there and keeping everybody safe. We have rising crime, again, the most homicides in the history of Portland, and that cascades down to other crimes, the most stolen cars in 30 years and on and on and on. Our government is failing and we need to do better. And part of that is making sure we have a better form of government. So I fully believe we need to change our commission form of government. Portlanders expect and want basic services from their government. They want the trash to be picked up and the graffiti to be cleaned. They want good schools for their kids. They want help for those that need assistance. They want safe neighborhoods so that they and their families can play around without fear of violence. And they want to be able to call a 911 if needed and have a quick response. In return, we work, we do our civic duties, we pay our taxes, and we vote. Portlanders are doing their part. Our city government is not. That is the solemn covenant between the government and the people. We need to do better and we need to be responsive. Being an immigrant coming to America, I believe in the big vision, the American dream, but I also believe in the pragmatic steps to get there. And part of that is policies. Policies matter. Our government has been dysfunctional for too long, and it was our government that has created these crises that we are now facing. Our homeless policies are not working. We have different policies at the city level, the county level, the metro level. And then we have nonprofit and charity organizations that are all working separately. We needed policies that help us work together. And the money is there. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. We have money coming in from the federal government, from the new homeless services tax. We have enough money to house our unhoused individuals. We need to quickly establish shelter spaces for people to go so they can receive services for drug addiction, mental health, and housing services. You might have read a recent Oregonian article where the vast majority of people living in our streets said that they did not have contact with service providers. Again, we can do better. In New York, the vast majority of homeless individuals are living in shelters and the small minority are living in the streets. Here, it's the opposite. Again, we can do better. Similar with policing, the policies have fluctuated. We defunded, then we refunded. We eliminated the gun violence reduction team. Then we put in a new focused intervention team. We need to reform and rebuild the police. And then experience matters. I have the experience to be on city council. This is not a job you want to learn as you go along. I've served on several boards and commissions with respect to police oversight and community engagement with the police, on the Charter Commission and on the Disability Commission that likewise works with issues impacting our homeless community. I have worked with Portland residents, small businesses, neighborhood associations to have their needs heard on City Hall. And lastly, your vote matters. Please visit my website, votevadim.com, and please vote this May 17th. Your voice needs to be heard, and I will be there to listen, and I will make sure that your voices are resonated in City Hall, and that finally we get action that is effective and solves the crises that are facing Portland. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for coming here and listening.
Thank you very much. Yes, we have a few folks left this evening, and we will then be wrapping up the evening. Do we have our next candidate? Chad, are you with us this evening? Okay, one more moment here. Okay, with that being said, we will then move on to our next candidate ahead of schedule. I do like it when we're a little bit early, but sometimes that's how it works. So next up for Commissioner Position 3, we will actually move along to Joanne. Are you with us this evening? Joanne, are you there?
Yes, I am. I am here.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Hi.
You're
Thanks for the invitation.
welcome. Aye, let's, it's your show now. Take it away.
I will. First, let me start by thanking the Overlook Neighborhood Association and saying thank you for all the mutual aid you provided to your shut-in neighbors during the height of COVID. Many community members survived because of neighborhood groups and other just individuals that actually provided a good level of support. So wanted to start there. Let me say it's been my privilege and pleasure to serve as your Portland City Commissioner. I was elected in 2018, midway through the most divisive presidential administration we have ever experienced, at least in my lifetime. I ran because I was part of a community of neighbors and organizers, working families and faith leaders who believed we could do better and we could create real change in how we experience public safety, address housing affordability crisis with compassion and with hard work. I'm sorry, the clock isn't moving. Should I, is it?
We are resetting your time. Give us just a moment here.
Okay, Bo.
Sorry about that. It looks
Don't
like
worry.
Zoom got a little angry with us.
That happens. Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, we will.
Okay.
All right, from our clock, we were showing you had about 3 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Really?
Oh, wait, I was looking at the wrong clock. My bad. We had you right at the 4:12 mark, if I'm doing the math correct.
That sounds accurate. Thank you.
All right, here we go.
In my 3 years since being sworn in as the first Black woman elected to Portland City Council, my team and I have worked with community partners and fellow commissioners to move 3 of the most transformative systems changes in recent history. Tackling one of Portland's thorniest issues, the crises on our street, by creating Portland Street Response, the first change in 150 years to our 911 response system. We established the nationally recognized Portland Clean Energy Fund that will help build our green economy for BIPOC community members and others. We also wrote the groundbreaking police accountability measure that 82% of voters supported that will create the first of its kind, truly independent police oversight board. When I ran in 2018, I ran because after 30 years of working on these issues in our community, I knew that our elected leadership had failed us because what I believed was regular working people's voices were not being heard at Portland City Hall. I'm running in 2022 for the exact same reason. We still have more work to do to create a truly safe community safety system. We have to make sure that housing that we build, Portlanders can actually afford to live in it, and as well as businesses. Today, the median family income for a family of 4 is $96,900. That's a big factor in why so many working people are living on our streets today. I have worked in my time as I was a state legislator, a civil rights leader. I have worked with 12 police chiefs and 6 mayors. Police chiefs on police reform, mayors on economic development. I have worked with the business community, labor community, community-based organizations. I am the one that's embedded in community. And I have worked and heard from thousands of Portlanders about what they need from their Portland City Council. I believe the strength of Portland is its people. It always has been, it always will be. And collectively, we will work together to bring Portland back. But don't let people mislead you. This isn't an either or. We have to have compassionate care and housing that people who work, play, and worship in Portland can afford to live in. Today, that is a dream. It is not a reality. If you think of the people who are working in our hotels, our music venues, and our creative class, those individuals that made Portland great no longer can afford to live here. We have to do something big, like land banking, land that the city owns, rather than selling it off to developers and asking and begging for a public benefit. We have to actually audit the 14,000 vacant units. We have to create small business spaces that small businesses can afford. Please go to joanneforportland.com for more information. I encourage you, read my record of collaboration and partnership. Don't listen to the sound bites. Go to the website, do your own research. And when you do your research, you will learn that I am the most efficient, effective Portland City Commissioner that the city of Portland has had in quite some time. I've served you well, and I would be honored to continue to serve you after May 17th election. I encourage you, please vote Joanne Hardesty for re-election to Portland City Commissioner position 3. Again, thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for hanging in there through this long program. And I look forward to running into you on the street and in City Hall when we're open to the public again. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne, and my apologies to everyone for the small tech glitch. Again, I am Bo, the Communications Chair for Overlook Neighborhood Association. For those that are still online joining us via the live stream, thank you for logging on tonight and participating in this Meet the Candidate night. We have a couple more individuals left, and then we will share a little bit about Overlook Neighborhood Association and wrap our live stream up. Coming up next, we have Ed. Are you with us?
I am.
Hi, Ed. Okay, this is your time. Take it away.
All right. Thank you for having me. It's been a very interesting night hearing a lot of different perspectives from the people participating and running. I know for the 2 city council positions, we've set a modern record with 20 different people running. And I think it's really important that we are hearing all these different ideas. So often it seems that people who are running for these offices have all the answers. I don't have all the answers, but I am somebody that believes in listening to everybody in the city. I personally don't feel that I have representation in the city council. And I want to make sure other people don't feel that way. I want to make sure everybody feels that they're being heard and included. My main thing is my own story, I guess, my unique set of life experiences that brings me here. I'm a lifelong Oregonian. I grew up in Clackamas. I live in downtown Portland, where I've lived for the last 9 years, very close to the soccer stadium. My situation is that I'm a disabled person. I suffer from depression, anxiety, and other things that go with that, grief, guilt, anger. And I find that in this city, a lot of that is enhanced by different things that go on down here, whether it be the graffiti, the garbage, Antifa, and so many of the other things that can certainly trigger some of those feelings and make me not want to go outside, make me not want to, be around people. It's very uncomfortable, very ugly, and it definitely has an impact. I've suffered from a gambling addiction. That gambling addiction led me to committing a crime. To fund that gambling addiction, for the past 12, 13 years, I had a felony conviction on my record. While I was in jail, which was for 2 weeks, my dad died right during that time. And in a lot of respects, I feel like the punishment for the crime maybe wasn't appropriate. It probably would have been better for me to get more help with the gambling addiction rather than jail time and losing my jobs and all that struggle. It led me to becoming homeless. after my mom got cancer and she died, I lost our family home. And because of my criminal record, a place that my family had lived for 32 years. In becoming homeless and without an income and things like that, I had to stay with people. In some cases, it wasn't safe. It was just really survival, trying to sell things at flea markets, trying to do whatever I could just to get by. Meanwhile, falling further in debt. I was really fortunate with the help of a gambling counselor who I had. I got back in touch with them and they hooked me up with Transition Projects in Portland, TPI. And with their help, I was able to go through their system and overcome homelessness and get into subsidized housing. I'm very blessed to have all these services and things that I'm able to take advantage of, but I recognize that that isn't for everybody. A lot of people couldn't go through that system. I think that we really need to go out and reach the homeless, and each person is a unique individual. What they have in common is none of them in 7th and 8th grade said, when I'm in my 30s or 40s or 60s, I want to be living on the streets of Portland. We need to be able to find out their story in a compassionate way. We need to help them to have a reason to live again. I'm thankful for all the services that I get, the food stamps, the insurance, and all those things, but our system is very backwards. It makes it difficult to ever get on your feet again. It's very risky to try to get on your feet again because you're risking losing what you have, losing your housing, losing your insurance. I think that we really need to look at all these things. I just want to be clear that I will work with everyone in the city if elected. And I think it's very important that all these people that have been a part of this tonight, not all of us are going to win. It's important for the winners to reach out and include us in their decision making. My website is electedbaker.com, electedbaker.com. I appreciate any help this election. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have one more candidate for Commissioner Position 3 with us tonight, Renee. There you are.
Thank you, Bo. And I'd like
Hi,
to
Renee.
How you doing?
Take it away.
Great. Well, I would like to thank you all for hanging around tonight to listen up. I'm just going to talk briefly, may not use my whole 5 minutes here. Very focused on restoring Portland's promise, but want to talk a little bit about how we got here. I'm a small business owner in the city of Portland. I've worked my entire professional career here. I own a small law firm and technology company here in the city, raising 3 children. I've been civically engaged throughout my private career, involved with the Portland Children's Museum and the Multnomah County Library Foundation at the board level, helped build and led as president the largest youth soccer club in the city. Throughout my adult life, I've been focused on assuring children's and young people's access to the arts, sports, and school. Over the last 2 years, I led the statewide and citywide efforts to reopen schools safely and return children's access to activities, including sports, arts, and other co-curricular activities. 3 big takeaways from that experience that I think we can apply to our more vexing challenges in the city today. 1, nationalized political ideology can distort complex policy decisions at the local level, that we get caught up in national debates. It interferes with our ability to clearly define local problems and local opportunities. 2, leading with data, defining problems narrowly can build consensus. With agreed upon facts and focused attention on them, we can keep the concentration on how to solve as opposed to theories that may divide us. 3, the center must be strong in confronting powerful interests and loud extremists. As we apply those principles to our big challenges in the city of Portland, specifically the unsheltered and crime, come away with some specific policy prescriptions as well as an approach to those issues. With respect to the unsheltered, the housing first ideology has been our guiding policy at both the city and county level with disastrous ends. We homogenize a highly segmented population and it leads to poor outcomes. Specifically, 80% of our unsheltered are suffering from some form of disability. Number one on that list is addiction. Number two is mental illness. Yet rarely do we hear policymakers talk about it in such a way. I firmly believe that a commitment solely to long-term housing will fail to address those underlying issues, will lead to hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars wasted in the city and in the county level. We need to refocus our services on addressing those issues fundamentally. At the same time, as a city, we need to prioritize investment in emergency shelter. The reasons are twofold. One, this allows us to provide a more humane living situation for our unsheltered and to conjugate services to them. At the same time, it allows us to enforce existing law in the city of Portland against unsanctioned camping, against extended parking by RVs and cars that litter NOPO as well as East Portland. It allows us to restore the social contract for everyone. Last but not least, we have a material gap in our service level for particularly addicts. We lack an acute detox center that is functioning in the city of Portland, and we need to fill that gap as soon as possible. With respect to crime, first and foremost, we need to assure adequate funding for public safety officers, for our police. This includes adequate funding for our specialists in community policing, in gun and gang violence reduction, as well as school outreach and recruiting. Second, while we must fight vigorously for continued community oversight of police and police accountability, we must end the defund culture, the defund police culture that constantly demonizes officers at City Hall, in this press, and in social media. Last, I think we're going to need to create space for a unifying vision for the city coming out of the pandemic. We can talk more about that in the coming conversations with voters. And with that, I'd like to conclude. Please check out our website at reneeforportland.com. And thanks so much for listening in tonight.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you everyone for joining us for our Overlook Neighborhood Association Meet the Candidates Night. This, I believe, is our first time to organize a kind of meet and greet night, or to allow a night that people can log on and meet the candidates. We definitely look forward to doing this again. Again, I am Bo. I was your host this evening for Meet the Candidates for the 2022 City of Portland candidate elections, presented again by the Overlook Neighborhood Association. I will now turn it over to Stacy. Stacy is our chair of the Overlook Neighborhood Association, and she will wrap us up for the evening. Again, thank you to all of our candidates. It's been such a joy to be able to do this for you, and I wish you the best with all of your final campaign efforts that you have. Stacy, go ahead and take it away. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, thank you, Bo, and thank you all candidates for coming tonight. I just learned last week that this is the biggest turnout of candidates in almost 50 years. I was reading City Hall said that last week. We really appreciate you all spending the time tonight and sharing information about yourself. And if anybody that you know would like to watch the presentation, it will be available up on our YouTube site in about 30 minutes. So please share the link with anybody. And I just wanted to let everybody know also that our Overlook Neighborhood Association meets on the first Tuesday of every night. Sorry, that's my son in the background. Agree. I'm sorry about that. he was quiet all night until the minute I unmuted myself. So the first Tuesday of every night, we have our general and board meetings, and we have some exciting speakers coming up, and we are devising a way to have hybrid meetings so that those that feel comfortable enough to meet in person again can do that. And we'll also allow people to watch by Zoom and have it be an interactive hybrid experience. And I want to thank Bo very much for moderating tonight, and just thank you everyone. It was a fun event, and I enjoyed putting it together and communicating with you and your assistants throughout the whole process. Thank you. Good luck to all the candidates.
Yes, again, thank you for joining us for the Overlook Neighborhood Association Meet the Candidate 2022 City of Portland Candidate Election Night. Thank you again for logging on and being a part of the evening. And thank you for joining us connected via YouTube and our live stream. This does conclude our event for Meet the Candidate, April 5th. We will see you soon. Thank you.